Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the fascinating evolutionary split between wolves and dogs, and, really getting into the microscopic magic of canine genetics. If you've ever looked at your dog and thought just how much of the wild still lives inside you, well, you're absolutely in the right place. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at why they're evolutionary cousins, not ancestors. Then we'll compare wild wolves versus domestic dogs, ask whether wolves can actually be pets, and finally unpack the power of hybrid vigor. Let's get right into it.
All right, Section 1. Evolutionary cousins, not ancestors.
To kick things off, we really need to clear up a massive misconception about where our dogs actually came from. Did domestic dogs evolve directly from gray wolves? I mean, it's a question you probably asked yourself when looking at your own pet, right? Wondering if a wild gray wolf is literally sitting there in their family tree as a great-great-grandparent. For the longest time, this was actually the widely accepted theory.
But here's the crucial point. New research reveals they actually share an extinct wolf ancestor. This makes them evolutionary cousins, rather than a direct parent and child species. So the wild wolves roaming the forest today, they didn't give birth to the dog currently sleeping on your couch. Rather, they both branched off from a shared relative that just doesn't exist anymore.
Now, what's really fascinating here is that despite not being direct descendants, scientists still classify both dogs and wolves as subspecies of Canis lupus. Why? Because they can reproduce. Unlike, say, dogs and foxes, wolves and dogs can actually mate and create fertile offspring. So that firmly places them under the exact same overarching species umbrella.
Moving on to Section 2. Wild wolves versus domestic dogs.
Let's look at how these cousins drastically diverged in their daily survival habits over tens of thousands of years. The diet difference is pretty stark. While wolves basically struggle to survive without hunting huge prey like elk and moose, dogs have spent all those millennia right alongside us. Over that time, they completely stopped hunting large animals and happily adapted to an omnivorous diet. They're totally fine thriving on our leftover grains, fruits, veggies, and, commercially made kibble.
And this next bit brilliantly illustrates how deeply their environments shape their biology. A wolf's reproduction cycle is strictly tied to the harsh winter wilderness. They only give birth in the spring, which ensures the mother has time to raise her pups before food gets scarce again. But a domestic dog? Thanks to a comfortable life indoors, completely free from seasonal starvation, they can actually have puppies any time of the year.
Just look at this stark size difference. I mean, wow. Dogs come in a crazy variety of sizes. A Chihuahua weighs just 5 pounds, while your average dog is around 40 pounds. But a wild wolf? That is a totally different story. A large gray wolf can easily exceed a staggering 175 pounds. Honestly, imagine a Chihuahua that size. Plus, they utilize a thick coat to repel predators and can stretch over 6 feet long from nose to tail.
Their anatomies are, of course, perfectly tailored to their totally different lifestyles. A wolf has this massive head and jaws built specifically for crushing dense bone in the wild, paired with those striking yellow or amber eyes. Dogs, on the other hand, generally have wider hips, shorter legs that kind of make them bob when they run, and eyes ranging from blue to brown. Yet, surprisingly, even though one jaw is meant for crushing bone and the other is just for chewing kibble, they both possess exactly 42 teeth. Go figure. Now, if you've ever wondered why your fully grown adult dog still looks like a cute little puppy, it's due to a fascinating scientific concept called neoteny. It's basically an evolutionary phenomenon that explains why domestic dogs retain those soft, juvenile features their entire lives. Because dogs rely on us humans as lifelong caretakers, they keep these adorable traits that naturally encourage us to nurture them. Wolves face a much harsher reality. Wolf pups have to mature incredibly fast. They actually open their eyes at just 2 weeks old, compared to a dog's 4 weeks, and they lose their puppy features rapidly because their parents stop babying them early on to prep them for the wild.
Despite all these vast differences, some ancient habits are definitely still intact. Both canines are highly vocal and absolutely love to dig. The motivation, however, that's changed entirely. A wolf howls to communicate over vast distances and digs out essential holes for a den, or maybe just to find a cool spot during the scorching summer. Your domestic dog, barking at the window and completely tearing up your backyard? Yeah, they're mostly just doing it for fun.
Which brings us to Section 3, can wolves be pets? Seeing those lingering similarities might make you wonder about bringing a little bit of the wild into your own living room. It's an alluring idea, right? Owning a majestic wild animal, especially since they share that overarching Canis lupus classification. But biology firmly stands in the way of this fantasy. The definitive answer here is a hard no. And that's because true domestication takes thousands of years of selective breeding. A recent study demonstrated that even if a wolf is raised by humans, literally from birth, it might attach to you, sure, but it will never look to you for guidance or affection the way a domestic dog does. It will always remain a wild, highly independent animal, no exceptions. All right, on to our final section, the power of hybrid vigor. So what actually happens when distinct canine lineages mix together, bringing us from the wild wilderness right down to the microscopic level of DNA? Well, since they share a genome and are the same subspecies, different canine breeds, and yep, even dogs and wolves can interbreed. And this introduces us to an incredibly powerful genetic mechanism that dictates the health of the resulting offspring.
Okay, let's dive into heterosis, or what we more commonly call hybrid vigor. This is essentially a biological boost that happens when an animal inherits a wider, far more diverse variety of genes from two completely unrelated parents. And this brilliantly illustrates the point. Mixed-breed dogs, like the beautiful canine pictured here, often receive a highly diverse genetic set. Because the parents are from entirely different lineages, the puppies are way less likely to inherit the exact same recessive gene from both sides. This genetic diversity basically masks harmful genetic defects. It's like a biological shield.
When hybrid vigor really works, the benefits are practically life-changing. It can dramatically reduce those breed-specific nightmares, like the severe breathing issues you see in pugs, or the debilitating hip dysplasia that unfortunately plagues German shepherds. On top of avoiding those hereditary diseases, mixed-breed dogs often see boosted overall vitality, stronger immune systems, and literally even slightly longer lifespans. However, it is super important to remember how this actually works mechanically. Hybrid vigor is an effect. It's not a guaranteed inherited trait like, say, fur color or ear shape. The results will totally vary from dog to dog. While it's incredibly common for mixed-breed dogs to benefit from this genetic diversity, it isn't a 100% guarantee. Some dogs might still inherit health issues, but the potential upside is absolutely enormous. From ancient wild predators braving the frozen wilderness to our perfectly adapted, genetically diverse best friends snoring softly on our couches, the journey is nothing short of miraculous. With adaptations happening so rapidly, it leaves us with one provocative question to ponder. Exactly what will the next 10,000 years of canine evolution look like for our furry companions?